Hello everyone. In this video, we will talk about written content, what it means to author it, and ways to author effective content for lessons. Let us first start with a brief discussion on content. Content for a lesson encompasses any and all kinds of resources that may be used to impart the concepts and knowledge covered in that lesson. This content may be textual or in the form of images, maps, graphic organizers, videos, podcasts, and simulations. In the publishing industry, content is mainly in the form of printable media such as written content, maps, images, illustrations, graphs, and graphic organizers. Authoring content refers to the process of writing original content on any subject in one's own words. For any authored content, the legal rights to control its publication and sale are possessed by either the author or a third party with whom the author may be in a legal contract. This is known as copyright, and such content is said to be protected by copyright. For example, most of the content available on this online course is a production of the course creator. So the course creator holds the copyrights to all this content, and her permission is mandatory for its commercial reproduction and sharing in any form. Authoring good, original content is one of the most important tasks in the publishing industry. As an academic author, it is your duty to ensure that you write relevant, enriching content for lessons that can be compiled together for the creation of engaging and useful books. As you start authoring your own academic content for K-12 curriculum development, let us look at some important points to keep in mind while creating textual material. Covering the syllabus. The most important aspect to keep in mind while authoring content for any K-12 topic is the syllabus for that topic or the curriculum standards for that particular topic. Before authoring content for your topic, ensure you know the different points to be covered as recommended by its corresponding syllabus. As you author content, ensure that you cover all important concepts, facts, and finer points required. However, at the same time, you must also take care to not include a lot of unnecessary information not specified in the curriculum. In case of any doubts, refer to the internet or other resources and consult your subject matter expert or peers before you proceed in order to avoid unnecessary rework on everybody's part later on. Conceptual accuracy. As authors of academic books, one of your most important responsibilities is to ensure that you consistently produce reliable content for your publication, which is free of errors of any kind. The most important error types that you, as an expert in your subject, need to take care of are conceptual and factual errors. Most publications are extremely strict in matters related to conceptual and factual errors in authored content, and rightly so, since academic books with such errors can quickly lose credibility in the market. So, as you author any content, check and double-check any facts and concepts that you include in it to ensure minimal errors on your part. In case of any doubts, always refer to the internet or other resources and consult your subject matter expert and or peers before proceeding further. Length. Working at a publication, you would most probably be authoring content to be compiled and published in the form of books. If that is indeed the case, your content would almost always have a word limit or a page limit that it must abide by. This restriction has more than one benefits. It sets a limit on the total number of pages expected in the final published book, thus helping management estimate the financial aspects of the project. And it helps restrict the amount of information presented in the book, thus avoiding possible cognitive overload in learners. As an author, you must ensure that the content you write stays well within the word or page limits specified by your management and or seniors. For this, you must practice writing in concise, clear sentences and to always review your work before submission. Depth of content. As a person with a strong background in a particular academic subject, it is often the tendency of many curriculum developers to include as much interesting information, questions, and examples as possible in the first draft of their authored materials. However, as discussed earlier, This could negatively affect the final product in terms of book size as well as possible cognitive overload for learners. To avoid this, authors must always take care to dive to appropriate depths in any topic they author. In case of any doubts, always refer to the internet or other resources and consult your subject matter expert or peers before proceeding further. Include relevant examples. A great way to help learners digest and comprehend the information you include in your lessons is through relevant examples. Examples and case studies help learners relate to the information better and make it easier to understand. They also make the process of learning a lot easier for learners, thus ensuring that they stay engaged in the process for a long time. As you author content for lessons, always try to include 1 to 2 relevant examples and case studies in your text, wherever possible. It will make your content clearer and far more engaging. Authoring age-appropriate content. As an author working with books for learners of different ages, it is important for you to understand how to write content that is age-appropriate for your target readers. While younger learners almost always require short, concise sentences with small words, older learners can usually read longer sentences and more complex vocabulary more comfortably. In addition to this, academic authors must also ensure that the content included in their creations should either be explained in the present lesson, or lessons being simultaneously covered in other subjects, or should have been covered in previous grades. For example, while authoring text for a subject, be it science, social science, mathematics, or any other subject, it would not be advisable to include a percentage in your text, such as 75%, if learners have not yet read about percentages, or even if their mathematics curriculum specifies that they would be covering percentages in the present academic session but at a later stage. In case of any doubts, always refer to the internet or other resources and consult your subject matter expert and/or peers before proceeding further. Language and writing style. One of the important aspects of authoring good content is being able to convey your thoughts and meaning effectively to readers. For this, it is important for authors to use appropriate language and grammar in their texts as much as possible. Using suitable vocabulary and grammar is important as it helps not only make the text look better but also helps in comprehension of the concepts and information covered. Additionally, authors must also ensure that they maintain a consistent writing style similar to the one used in their publication's other books. Although one may argue that taking care of problems related to language and writing style of text is the responsibility of the publication's editors, it is always best to turn in freshly authored text in the best shape possible, as further reviews can then be used to enhance it further. This would also expand the author's personal knowledge base, helping them grow professionally. Plagiarism. Although this aspect could have been covered as another point in the previous topic itself, it deserves its own new discussion space, owing to its level of importance in the field of publication and writing. In the beginning of the lesson, we discussed in brief about copyright on authored content, which specifies who legally owns and has the right to alter, publish, and reproduce any written content. The topic of copyright relates to another significant term in the publication world, plagiarism. Plagiarism is the act of copying or using the work, ideas, expressions, and language of another in one's own creations without permission or proper citation. Plagiarism is considered a serious fraud and legal offense in the publication world, and hence, as an author and curriculum developer, you must constantly take care that you abide by copyright laws that protect authored content. Resources such as the internet and other textbooks must always be referred to only for conceptual clarity and/or inspiration, and the original creations of other authors must never be a part of your content. For more information on copyright laws, please refer to the internet or consult your subject matter expert and/or peers. Many a times, academic authors are also responsible for reviewing the content created by other authors and giving their feedback on it. While reviewing such content, it is always advisable to first check it for plagiarized content. For this purpose, a number of online tools are available today that help easily check written materials for plagiarized content. These tools are often extremely effective and help catch content that might have been copied from obscure parts of the internet. A link to one such online plagiarism checker tool has been provided in this week's additional resources page. I encourage you all to explore it and to use it in your everyday work as required. To learn more on the topics covered in this lesson, further explore the additional resources given near the end of this week's module. You can also use the internet to research more on the topics and should consider posting any good web links that you find to the week's general discussion forum. Thank you, and I will see you in the next lesson.